Hi, my name is Steven.
It is I, Kevin.
And I am David, the eldest champion.
We are the Brothers Born.
We invite you to bear witness as this most unlikely of throwdowns is about to commence.
Hey, welcome back to the Unlikely Throwdowns podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Steven.
I am Kevin, the greatest of the brothers. Also, despite what David says, the reigning champion.
And David, he's a pretty busy guy, so
He's not that busy.
So we invited a guest today.
I'm Brendan. I've been on the show before, or the other show.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm gonna be the judge.
Excellent.
He judged the Shredder versus Rick Grimes ones, right?
He did, and
I think I think I did the one Hans Gruber one.
No, you didn't. I think it was just a Shredder one, maybe.
Oh, okay,
I have to go back. But yeah, Brendan's been on before. I would think we've done. I think we did another episode. You've been on a couple times in some capacity.
I think we're talking about ridiculous video game weapons at one point.
That's what it was. Yes, that's right. It was. Ivy and her whip sword from Soul Calibur.
Ah, yes. Can't forget that one.
So Kevin and I each have a character prepared. Who would you like to introduce their character first, Brendan?
How about Kev go first?
All right. So, let me bring up my little notes here. Okay. So my character is, his true identity it's really unknown. Nobody knows exactly who it is. It suggests that he may have been a former warlord named Keldor, who is a studier of dark magic, but it's also possible that Keldor may have been the lost brother of King Randar, powerful leader in the world in which this character is from. He learned dark magic by summoning Hordak from the Dark Dimension, who was he's a commander of the evil horde. Together they tried to conquer this kingdom, with Hordak invading the king's castle and kidnapping his children. My character during this invasion was captured, but he revealed the Hordak's whereabouts, and so they were able to force Hordak and his forces, who escaped through a portal, and he stole he took one of the children with him. The other one stayed behind. And afterwards, my character raised a great army to conquer this world, and he's been gaining power ever since because he's tried to get revenge on Hordak for leaving him there. Any ideas who this might be?
Brendan, you're gonna have to help me out here, dude. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Would you like a hint, Steven?
So last time we did an episode. Well, I don't know, man. Is it Skeletor?
It is Skeletor.
Okay.
So it's funny because
I was thinking it was something in He-Man.
So our last throwdown, of course, was He-Man. David used He-Man as his character, and it was funny because I actually was planning on using Skeletor anyway, and then after that just kind of sealed it. He was like, "Oh, He-Man." I was like, "Oh, I got to use Skeletor next time," so thus I picked Skeletor.
Maybe it's good he's not here then, because he might be a little biased.
That's true.
So my character actually comes from a listener submission, our first one. So now I have to bend the rules a little bit with this one because mine's not entirely a character in of itself, but rather piloted by a character. But I'm choosing to focus on the thing that is being piloted. So let me give you
it's some sort of mech.
Some little bit of information here. In April AC 195, the pilot descended to Earth as part of Operation Meteor and used this thing that he's piloting to attack multiple Oz naval forces and bases throughout Asia before he goes to Africa and attacks more bases. This particular person teamed up with some other people who pilot similar things and attacked a secret meeting at the United Earth Sphere Alliance. Brendan, is this ringing any bells for you?
Well, this is obviously some sort of Gundam, I assume.
Yes, it is a Gundam. It is none other than the name of this Gundam is XXXG-01S Shenlong Gundam.
Oh,
Piloted.
Shenlong. Okay, yeah, I remember
Piloted.
Shenlong.
Okay.
That's from Gundam Wing, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
piloted
it's the one with the
by none
dragon
other
arm.
than Wufei.
Yeah.
So it
I-
was built. It was built by Master O of the L5 colonies, and he. I don't really have a whole. It kind of does a lot of Chinese martial arts, even though it's a giant robot. So it's kind of based in some of that lore. It is piloted by
always,
Chang Wufei.
I always liked from Gundam Wing. I haven't watched a lot of Gundam. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch Gundam Wing. I watched 8th MS Team, which was really good.
That's the one. Is that the one they're in the jungle?
Yeah, I think so. And
That's
then
the one, Brendan. I keep talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's actually really good. And there's a couple other ones I've seen episodes here and there. Remember that one where they had like the tournaments where all the Gundams were like stereotypes? Like they had an American Gundam who was like a surfing cowboy.
Oh, that's right. Do you remember that? That was pretty good.
I actually just started getting into Gundam. I watched the original series from like 1979, and I was expecting it to be really jank, but it turned out to be pretty good actually. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it. There's just so much of it out there. But Gundam Wing, my favorite Gundam was actually Sandrock.
The reason I kind of wanted now, Brendan's little brother Sean is really into Gundam. Like I've never met anyone in my life who loves Gundam more than that guy. But the person who submitted this though was most familiar with Gundam Wing, and I asked which one he liked the most, and he said Shenlong. So I was like, all right, we're gonna work with Shenlong here.
So Skeletor versus Gundam Shenlong. This is going to be an interesting one.
This is a pretty unlikely throwdown, I would say.
Yeah,
I don't think these characters would ever.
I don't know if it's as unlikely as Captain Hook versus Chase, but it is pretty unlikely.
So,
I'm going to be completely unbiased in this because I'm not super familiar with either character. The only bias I have is I like to see Steve lose.
and you do love that. I was so tickled when Dawson came on once. He had my character win, and I was like, "What? Seriously? I thought for sure you'd make me lose because you're Dawson." But no. So I have to really fight my case here, Brendan. All right. So who should go first as far as giving a little bit of background?
I don't care.
I kind of gave all my background already. Honestly,
Yes,
there's not
me
really
too.
much else to it.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a quick break then, huh?
Yep.
A wise man once said, "Cash rules everything around me. It's all about the money. Dollar bills, y'all." Now, the Brothers Born are definitely not part of the Wu-Tang Clan. But the sentiment, well, it's still true. When it comes down to it, making content that we do can have some costs when it comes to equipment and certain fees. This is where you come in as a listener. No obligation here, but if you do like what we have and you would like to contribute a little bit of funds our way so we can improve our content, there's 3 different tiers of payment which you can use. The first one is a simple, cheap tier of 99 cents. Not too bad. Next tier would be $4.99, or if you're straight ballin', $9.99 for the third tier. Now, there's no obligation here. We're going to do the content either way, but we definitely would appreciate a little help. Thank you in advance, and we look forward to providing more content for you.
Welcome back.
Yes. That was a great little tasty break we had there, eh?
Well, I don't know if it was tasty. Man,
Oh,
what
man,
sounds good?
delicious.
Pizza. Anyway,
Little pizza break.
little
All right.
pizza break. So if you're a listener and you want some pizza, you should go get some.
Yes. All right, I'll go first if that's cool with you, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Cook me up, give me some power, some abilities.
Like I said, the Shenlong Gundam, affectionately called Nataku by Shang Wufei because he named it after his deceased wife, which I forgot that he was married. I thought they were all like teenage kids. And I was reading back through it, I'm like, oh yeah, he was like an adult.
Really? I thought
Yeah.
they were all married. I thought they were all like kids.
Yeah,
I just remember the weird dude with the flute and his funky hair.
they all had funky hair, I think.
Well, that's true, but the one had particularly funky hair. Which one did I don't remember what? I think he was the one with the gun.
I
The
don't
big
know.
giant Gatling gun. That was a pretty cool Gundam too, actually.
So speaking of guns, Shenlong's one of their main weapons is a Vulcan gun. It's a pair of shell firing like guns in his head. So right next, like kind of like above his eyes, kind of by his temples, he has these little shells he can fire out, like little missiles come out of the top of his head. It's not super powerful. It's more it kind of restricts enemy movement though, and lays down like a yeah. I guess it's more just kind of like
Like a
not as
distraction technique.
yeah. It does do a little bit of damage, but it's sure it's not his main weapon. But he does have guns on his head, which is pretty awesome.
I wish I had guns on my head.
Um, he has the beam trident. So this is his main weapon in close combat. It's got like it's like a staff with the three energy blade
So
things.
it appears like a trident.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Fork-like beam blade, you know. It's on his stored on his back when it's not in use. He's really good at this thing. I watched some footage of him before we did this throwdown. He like spins it around super fast. I don't know how the physics of that works in space, but whatever. He spins it around real quick and like a staff. He's very competent with that. It's his main weapon probably. He's got the dragon fang, which is a huge close combat weapon. It's shaped like a dragon's head. It's on his right forearm and it flips forward, and it's usually he like crushes people like enemies with it, and it also has flamethrowers on it, adding it kind of like Shenlong the dragon, so that's pretty cool. There's a flamethrower, and so on either side of that thing he has a flamethrower. So something what he'll do, he'll like grab a head and then fire the flamethrower. It's pretty sweet. He has a shield. It's kind of like Captain America's shield. He can throw it, it spins. He has apparently in the manga he has a sword. And then he has a big old beam cannon comes from his back. It looks kind of like a scorpion tail, comes from his back and fires at him. So got lots of lasers, lots of like firearms. Of course, the main thing though is his beam trident. Also, his arms extend, which I think is unique to him. None of the other Gundams do this, so that it kind of like he can extend his arms. And I watched like some footage on YouTube of. That's been a while since I've watched the show. I'm like, I just like highlights of Shenlong. There's so many times. Here's two other less inferior mobile suits fighting him. He's like fires both his arms at each of them, and just like it looks really funny. He's like floating there, fires his arms, and like crushes the other guys in half or something. It's pretty wild. So that is some of his main weapons, I would say.
Now, if you would have won with like Gundam Zero, maybe you could win this. Maybe. Speaking of staff-like weapons, Skeletor has the Havoc staff, which is it discharges bolts of mystical force. It also focuses his own magic, which makes his magic more powerful. And he also has half of the power sword, the other half being by He-Man, so it's a pretty strong sword.
But it only has half, so just pointing that out. Only half the power sword.
Whatever. So some of his powers. So he's a sorcerer who has dark magic powers. What kind of powers does he have, you might ask? Well, he can teleport over long distances. He can communicate.
That's helpful.
Yeah, it is. He can communicate telepathically with his minions. David would like this one. He has the ability to grow plants. David is with his plants.
He does love plants.
Yeah. He has power of hypnosis. He can cast illusions. He can reflect magic back to its wielder. He has freeze rays. So, that's always good. He can also open gateways into other dimensions. He has this crystal ball he can use to review or view remote events taking place, kind of like a spy. He can discharge energy lightning from his fingertips. He's also a very skilled swordsman who can take on multiple opponents at once. Skeletor, on top of that, is also incredibly intelligent. He has a very scientific mind. He's able to create various machines. And he's very cunning and he's very strong. So, he's a smart guy. Like he knows how to work things, get around things, figure things out. I think he has a few advantages here, honestly. One, teleporting. He can escape Gundam. I mean, plus Gundam's pretty big, so he's gone.
So that brings me to my point, though. How big is Skeletor? Brendan, listen carefully to this. Kevin, how big is Skeletor? What's his height?
I have no idea what his height is.
Well,
I
I
can
can tell
probably
you
look it up.
the Gundam height is exponentially larger than Skeletor's height. So my man don't even need his weapons. He just step on Skeletor like a little bug.
No, that wouldn't work because he would just he can teleport vast distances. He would just teleport out of the way. He'd see that foot coming, and he'd be like, "Oh, there's a giant foot about to step on me. Psh, I'm out of here."
59 feet tall, bro.
That doesn't
So
matter.
I
Dude.
am gonna say like, so I'm gonna assume this takes place on like a planet where Skeletor can breathe. So
That's true. This probably doesn't take place in space. That probably wouldn't work.
which in space, Gundams do have a lot more maneuverability. So on Earth, you're going to be a lot slower, but
That's fair.
the size advantage is a pretty big one. But at the same time, the maneuverability is an issue.
Let me point out something about your size advantage here, Stephen. Okay, so Optimus Prime also is like what 50 something plus feet tall, and he
Yeah.
got defeated by a xenomorph, which is significantly smaller than Optimus Prime.
What are you talking about?
So size does not matter.
When did
In
you
our-
get
in
defeated
what-
by a xenomorph?
In our throwdown, Optimus Prime
Oh,
versus
way
Xenomorph.
back when? Okay.
Yeah.
We can't talk about.
I'm just saying, size doesn't matter. We've clearly shown that already. And if my wife has taught me anything, size don't include that.
That's going to be my little tag at the end.
Anyway, size doesn't matter, dude. There's a lot of ways Skeletor can get around that. For one, he can teleport past it, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, hold on. Tell me about his teleportation. No, can he just do it, or does he have to like take time to get that ready?
No, it just says he teleports over vast distances. It doesn't.
Yeah, it says he can do that, but does he have to like cast a spell, get the thing going, or is it like an instant? Oh, I feel like teleporting right now. Bam.
From what I read, there's no specifications as far as it taking time to do so.
Seems a little sus to me.
Yeah, whatever. Besides, like, he can also open doorways into new dimensions, right? So, like, the Shenlong tries to step on him. He just opens up new dimension. Now that foot's somewhere else. And Shenlong trips and looks like a buffoon. Like, he's got that going. I'm just saying a big robot's very cumbersome. It's not, yeah, maybe it's somewhat maneuverable against other big robots, but against like a small, agile person, I don't think it would be a very effective its size because it's so big. It's like easy to trip up and everything.
Fair enough. Brennan, you were going to say something.
So with you said one of Skeletor's powers, he could like deflect magic and stuff. So would you consider like his plasma beams, Vulcan cannons? Would that be something he'd be able to deflect, or is he just gonna have to keep dodging?
I'm going to say no, because these are plasma beams. They aren't magic. Science can back Gundam, okay? Everything about Gundam is scientifically possible.
Sure. It's actually scientifically impossible, but go ahead. You continue.
So, but in the world in which these characters come from, there's no mysticism or magic in the world of Gundam. So I'm not saying that doesn't exist for Skeletor and that can exist during this battle, but I'm gonna say, and I know this kind of helps me, but these are like energy beams that are caused by some sort of physics.
I will say you have a fair point because they're not magic.
Yes.
So I'll give that to you. But as you stated, in Gundam, there is no science or magic and mysticism. When it's Eternia definitely has that. Skeletor has that. So it gives him the advantage because he has magic, whereas the Gundam doesn't. Well, he can shoot lightning bolts out, dude. He can just like electrocute the heck out of that thing.
Yeah, would the Gundam's defenses account for magic?
That's a good question. So, let me just tell you a little bit about Shenlong. I don't have a lot of information on the defenses, but one thing I know from watching it doesn't matter. It's the other mobile suits in Gundam are kind of like stormtroopers. They just fire willy-nilly, and Gundams
they do.
Just dodge out of the way super easy. It's no problem at all.
Skeletor is not a stormtrooper, is all I'm saying.
I know Skeletor's not a stormtrooper. However, Shenlong, he's based in like Chinese martial arts, and he's very, in a certain degree, maybe Shenlong, it does have a little bit of mysticism actually, because it's based in that like
I feel like that's stretching it a little
pliable combat method compared to the other Gundams. They're a little more like big, bulky, like strongman kind of fighting. Shenlong's a little more fluid, kind of moves like with the water, a little more pliable. And has pretty because
So
of the
so Shenlong practices Tai Chi. He's good at defending himself against invisible ninjas.
So
well,
from my knowledge of the original Gundam series, I don't know if this translates to Gundam Wing, but there is a thing in the original Gundams which some people are born like people who are born in space are born as new types, which kind of have like mystical-ish powers.
oh,
I and the pilots have kind of more like superhuman reflexes, kind of stuff like the Force where they can like kind of like really good at piloting like Anakin and stuff in the original trilogy. Uh and so like I don't know if there's something like that in Gundam Wing, if like the characters are like that, but that was like a plot point in the original
From my
Gundam.
understanding, from my understanding from Gundam Wing is it was a little bit different from the other Gundam series in that the Gundams were made like from like a Gundanium thing, metal, which wasn't a thing in the other ones, I guess. I know it's like separate from the other series.
yeah, it's like its own little universe.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if that those things
I
translated
don't.
over, but so
If they do, I'm not familiar with it. I'll be
okay,
honest.
okay,
Um,
because that would give a little bit of a thing, because then he'd be more very much better at piloting and predicting moves that
yes.
Skeletor would do. But so
Um,
if
Well, if
Amuro
Skeletor
from
can
the
shoot,
original series would it probably have
Skeletor has freeze rays. All right, he can freeze the Gundam's joints, probably.
dude, no, he can't, dude. Look how
Yes, he can.
freaking big that thing is. It's made of Gundanium metal. It's
That's
in
not even a
outer
real metal.
it's in outer space where everything freezes all the time, and he's fine there. He moves around like he's doing martial arts in outer space when there's no gravity, dude. That's how good this dude is. Now I know we're on Earth here, whatever, but if he is resistant to cold, he's resistant to cold in space, man. So, in fact, I think there's even a situation where Chang Wufei steps out of the Gundam, probably in space. Maybe not, but I'm sure that happens because anime, anything could happen in that world.
Well, that's true. Yep, I'm pretty sure he has some sort of like spacesuit. That doesn't matter anyways. Not to mention, so Skeletor has hypnosis, right? So he can just hypnotize Wu Fang, whatever his name is, to like do
Wu
some
Fang,
craziness. Well, I don't know, whatever his name is. Who's
Chang Wufei, bro.
Wu Fei? Whatever. Chang Wu Fei's a punk. Skeletor can just like he can use illusion to like confuse to confuse him, make him think he's fighting something an enemy that's not there. For example, you get him all tripped up, Gundam falls down, and then he goes in there and he uses his hypnosis to make Wu Fei like I don't know do something crazy like jump off a cliff, and then it's over. Skeletor just won, and then he teleports away while laughing. Until next time.
You do a pretty good Skeletor there, man.
so what kind of stuff does the Sword of Power do? Like what kind of abilities does that give him?
The Sword of Power. I don't know. What did David say the Sword of Power did? I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah, He-Man is the expert of that, but
Yeah, He-Man's the one that has like the expert of it. Skeletor has half of it, but it doesn't. I don't remember because when I was looking, and when you look at information about Skeletor, all it says is that he has half of his Sword of Power, but it doesn't tell you what it actually does. At
so it
least with the
sounds to
information
me
I
like
looked up.
Skeletor doesn't actually know how to use his sword. It's kind of
It
the
says
vibe I'm
no,
getting from.
he's a good swordsman. Though to
Yeah,
be
because
fair, I don't know how well a human-sized sword would do against a giant robot, but he is
it
a
would
skill.
do nothing to a giant robot,
If
actually.
anybody could do anything with a sword to a giant robot, the Sword of Power, which is a source of He-Man's power, so I assume it probably has, some mystic sort of abilities here. Um, he could do. Let me look it up. Let me look it up. Sword of Power.
So yeah, the sword of power can do lots of things, but the Skeletor know how to do that stuff. That it sounds like he doesn't. Um,
I mean, dude. All right. So we established in our He-Man episode that He-Man is like pretty dope and powerful and can pretty much defeat
yes.
anybody, to include Sephiroth. But But if there's one character who is able to hold his own against He-Man, it's Skeletor, right? So like if Skeletor can hold his own against He-Man, who's like this most powerful person ever, I think he can handle a Gundam.
Dude, I know you'd hate this because it's the cop out answer, but I always go back to the ratio in size.
It
Like
doesn't matter though. I
it
told you.
does. It does matter a lot. Like if Skeletor got into a giant robot situation, a
Giant
giant
Skeletor
beast,
robot.
that would be
Awesome.
awesome. But I think that yeah, you'd probably hose me. But like right now, Skeletor is sure he can teleport. whatever. But his little rinky-dink weapons are going to do nothing against Gundanium metal piloted by an expert in martial arts and
See, I
expert
disagree
in
because the little rinky-dinky weapons are the sword of power, and then
which you know nothing about. So
and the Staff of Havoc, and the Staff of Havoc like enhances his already powerful magical abilities. Size isn't going to matter because he's using magic. He can use
Staff of
illusion.
Havoc versus the Beam Trident, bro.
Yes,
it would freaking.
Dude, it doesn't matter.
Energy blades would just roast that thing, toast it, it's little crumbled thousands
it's
pieces.
the Staff of
Vaporize
Havoc, dude. It's like this super magical sort of relic, dude. You can't.
All right. How about this? I take my Dragon Fang, and like my extender arms, Slinky style, and I grab Skeletor. I got him gripped in my Dragon Fang hand. And I bust out those flamethrowers, man. We got a roasted skeleton. He's all like scorched black. No more.
Okay, well, first
Looks
of all,
like one of those ones from Indiana Jones in the cavern or whatever.
Those hands are used to fight other Gundams. So if they're meant to fight something of the same size they are, something smaller is going to be hard
would
to
crush
grasp.
him. Yeah, I wouldn't even need.
No, he's not even gonna be able to grasp him because he's too small for the Gundam Man. And the fire's not going to matter anyway because he's got his freeze rays. He can just block that junk.
Whatever, fire melts ice way better than ice freezes fire.
I'm just saying he has an unlimited supply of freeze rays.
This is an episode about physics, Kevin. I'm not sure if you realize that, but this is a scientific analysis of what would happen here. And all right. Hey, keep in mind,
if that's the case,
this is a giant dragon fang. So this fire is huge, dude. It's like huge, and you got your little tiny rinky-dink freeze rays. Bam! Doesn't stand a chance. It's like a raindrop versus
if that's the case,
the forest fires in Canada.
Scientifically speaking, a Gundam wouldn't actually be able to work on a planet anyway.
Hey,
it's too heavy.
There's no system's Skeletor magical power sword thing.
I thought you said this was based on science physics junk.
Yeah, dude, science.
All right, let's go back to your scenario. He uses his dumb little I guess not little because he's a giant robot. He uses his big his dragon hand, which you can't really. I mean, how do you do any sort of manipulation with smaller objects with a hand that's a big dragon mouth? That doesn't even make sense. Anyways, so he has a little dragon mouth hand. And he grabs Skeletor.
No, it's not. The dragon thing goes over top of the hand, so he has a hand and digits like any other robot does. But then the dragon thing goes over top. It latches forward and turns into a claw.
I don't know about that. But let's say he does that. He grabs Skeletor with his dragon mouth thing. Skeletor, who has teleportation over vast distances, just teleports on out of there. And now he's nothing in his hand. And he's like, well, where'd Skeletor go? I had him in my hand a second ago. Oh, snap. He's inside the Gundam with me. And now he's using his hypnosis, using his freeze rays, using his power, magic to shoot lightning bolts and junk at him. Dude, he ain't got a chance. Skeletor's got this.
So really quick, a little bit about Cheng Wufei, because I did look him up for a minute. He is also pretty well versed in martial arts. He's a skilled fighter himself. I think although he doesn't have the magic powers, it wouldn't be like a freeze done. He would definitely put up a fight there. And dude, Skeletor wouldn't even have the chance to get in the cockpit because he would just be toasted. He'd be toasted.
He teleports out, man. He just teleports out.
He wouldn't have a chance. It's too quick, dude. Bam, done.
Dude, so if a giant hand grabbed me and I could teleport, I'm gonna teleport immediately. I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm inside of a hand. What now? Oh, there's fire coming out. Oh, I guess I'm dead. As soon as that hand comes at me, dude, I'd just be like, I'm out. Skeletor do the same thing. And Skeletor is ruthless, man. He doesn't care about anybody, man. He only cares about his own power. He cares about gaining power. He cares about conquering, which means he's going to do whatever it takes to win.
And so Cheng Wufei, he does not attack people he feels are inferior to him. He only fights worthy opponents. Is kind of what I read here.
Skeletor would be.
So yes, he would be
Goku. Yeah, so he would be super into this battle and do everything he could to
See, I don't know. See, he would look at Skeletor and be like, "Man, that guy has a skull for a head. That's freaking whack. He's not worth my time." And then Skeletor would be like,
One thing with the size, I think the size is an advantage and disadvantage, kind of like you're putting and Kevin's putting out. Obviously you're in a giant robot, but at the same time, your mobility is going to be severely limited compared to, because Gundams are meant to fight under other Gundams. That's their design.
Yeah.
So fighting, I mean, if there's like a group of people there, yeah, you could just blow them away. But like one person is hard to deal with a Gundam, I would say, harder to deal with.
That's
But
fair.
at the
That's
same
fair.
time, I feel like the hypnosis wouldn't come into play unless he hopped out of his Gundam.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it works exactly, but I don't think you could hypnosis him through like the cameras of the
The
Gundam.
Gundanium metal? Absolutely not.
Well, I really wasn't gonna even like put. I just like figure he's looking through cameras, and I don't know if it would really work through that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't.
So-
This is gonna come down to science versus magic, really.
Science that doesn't exist, I might add, and can't
and
exist.
magic that doesn't exist. At least Gundam takes place on Earth and space surrounding Earth. But
Skeletor's been to Earth. Do you ever see the Masters Universe movie?
that's long time ago.
We're not going to talk about that one. Though that is pretty. The Skeletor is pretty dope in that movie. The rest of the movie's garbage, but Skeletor is like makes that movie worth
All
watching.
right, my bro, you're firing.
So
your
if he, my question is the pilot for your Gundam, given that he, won't fight people who are inferior to him, if he sees a man-size opponent, is he even going to use his Gundam? Or does he have a level of honor where he'd be like, you know what, that's like a single person. I'm not gonna use my Gundam against them. That'd be unfair.
Listen carefully,
because then hypnosis will totally work.
Listen carefully to what you just. Listen carefully to what you just said. That's a single person. Explain to me how a man who is a skeleton is a single person, because he is not. He is not a single person. There's something different about him.
How did he become there's different versions of how he became like a skeleton. I think it had something to do with like he got burned by like some acid or some junk.
About to be burned again by some incredible fire spitting out of
No, it's not.
Dragon
He's been
fang.
burned once before. It didn't kill him last time. It's not gonna kill him this time.
So you're throwing your freaking junk at me, not you.
No, I'm trying to look. I'm trying to look it up real quick to see how he became how he got his current appearance, because I don't want to give you false information because I'm not about that life. So he may be the brother of He-Man actually, but they don't know for sure.
Long lost brother. Classic trope.
I feel like the best weapon that the Gundam has against Skeletor is the fire, just because of the wide range of it. Because I don't think your hands, I don't think your trident is really going to be able to hit him, because it's going to be so big and he'll be able to see it coming.
But that's the thing; it's so big, and it would just like, let's say this is on a planet, right? Skeletor's standing there. I put the trident there. It just puts a big old crater in that planet, honestly, and the Skeletor's at the center of it. Bam, done.
That's true, but he does teleport. But with the fire, you can cover a larger range, so
the fire is the
his
advantage.
teleport's more limited.
I don't know how effective the fire would be. I just feel like Skeletor could teleport out of there. I feel like he could use his interdimensional stuff.
When you're roasting like a marshmallow, you don't have time to think about. You don't have the gumption to teleport.
Skeletor is not a marshmallow.
There it is. That's my tag.
How hot does the fire get out of the cannon? Because it could just be like 400 degrees, and it's not enough to burn human bones.
It was acid. Acid is what caused him to lose the skin on his face.
It melts.
I do wonder how that works. If his head is a skull, like how does he have like the muscles to like move his jaw if he doesn't have any in his face? And then like,
bro.
How does he talk? How does he talk? Because he wouldn't have vocal cords either. See. But he's, I guess, magic. I feel like if you have magic to talk with a skull without skin and bone and muscles on it, then you probably have enough magic to regenerate it. I don't know. So I guess it just looks cool. If I had a skeleton skull for a head, I'd probably rock it too.
The Gundam's fire, the fire it has melted or burned through other Gundams. So I'd say it's pretty dang hot.
So if fire can melt through other Gundams, to me it says Gundanium alloy really isn't that great.
No, not Gundanium.
Melting
hold up. Mobile suits. So there's a difference between a Gundam and a mobile suit, right? Gundams are like these like glorified, beautiful, scientific masterpieces, whereas the other mobile suits, it's kind of, think about it like this. You have like the name brand and then the off brand.
So they're right in the mobile in terms of Gundam Wing. We're talking about Gundam Wing specifically. The other mobile suits that aren't Gundams are of an inferior material, is what you're saying.
And he's able to melt that. And
It's
I
still
might
he's
just say
it's still that doesn't really help your argument that much.
we haven't even talked about his beam cannon, bro. He's got this large, long-range firearm. It's a beam cannon.
Is he?
It
is
fires
his beam
powerful
cannon-
beam. This is a quote from the Wiki Gundam fandom page. All right, this large, this firearm can destroy even Gundanium armor. So this is a pretty sophisticated beam cannon. So there we go. There's Skeletor. Bam, massive laser.
See,
Skeletor's done.
let me tell you something. Granted, it's not a beam cannon, but I have some experience with firearms. If you have a weapon the size of a cannon attached to a giant robot, and you're trying to hit a person, like we'll say 6, maybe 7-foot person at most, that's going to be incredibly difficult to do, next to impossible, because it's not designed to do that. It's designed to hit larger targets. It's designed to hit other Gundams. He's not going to be able to hit Skeletor because he's just not going to have the aim to do it. It's going to be slow and cumbersome because it's a big robot. By the time he gets that thing aligned up to Skeletor's already gone. He's teleported to another dimension. The beam cannon is not going to be useless. Your only weapon you have that could possibly have any effect on Skeletor is his little fire thing. And I feel like Skeletor can defend against that just using his general magic. And I'm sorry, man, Skeletor just got this.
All right.
He's the one that has the size advantage here.
Listen to this. Okay. This is a point I want to make. We're probably getting close to the end. This is kind of like my final argument here. So there was a time when Wufei joined forces with the other Gundam pilots, and they attacked the secret United Earth Sphere Alliance. There's like a secret meeting going on there, and they destroyed it. So here's what I'm saying. Skeletor would be dwelling up in Castle Grayskull, doing his Castle Grayskull Skeletor
First of all,
teleportation.
Skeletor doesn't go in Castle Grayskull. He's in Snake Mountain. If he was in
Snake
Castle
Mountain.
Grayskull, he would be even more powerful because he would.
Okay.
I mean, that's his whole thing. He's trying to get the power of
Skeletor is in
Grayskull.
Snake Mountain, whatever. He's in his little hovel, and I beam cannon that place. I just beam cannon his home, the source of his power or whatever. Done.
Okay.
I just
Snake Mountain is not the source of his power.
It's Castle Grayskull. Then I attack that.
No, Castle Grayskull's not either. Skeletor's power comes from just his study of dark magic and his staff of havoc.
I'm just saying, I blow up his base before he has a chance to even mess.
That's fine. You can blow up his base. He won't be there anyway. Because, as I stated, he has this crystal ball where he can see things that are taking place. So if he sees in his crystal ball that this Gundam's approaching Snake Mountain, he's like, that's a big robot. And then he's going to leave. I mean, he might send his minions out to get killed because he didn't really care about them. But, he'll just leave, and then he'll sneak up behind him and take him out. See, let me give you a quote as to why Skeletor would probably defeat him. Yes, we will win this game the old-fashioned way, the tried and true way. Will cheat. He doesn't fight fair. Your dude fights fair. Skeletor does not. He will do anything he can to win this battle.
Huh. Fair enough.
So I see the surprise attack angle, but at the same time, would this be a surprise attack? This would more than likely they're just seeing each other and then gonna duke it out. Because you could also say Skeletor could surprise him while he's not in the Gundam, hypnotize him, and he's done.
That's true. Fair enough. Quote from Wufei. I have to use Wufei quotes. I can't use Gundam. The Gundam doesn't talk. It's just Wufei talking. I am Wufei. I won't run and hide until there's no one left to fight. End quote. Quote. I will determine justice. End quote.
So he's determining justice, makes him sound like a nice guy. Quote from, I'm going to say Cobra Commander Skeletor here. I'm not nice. I'm not kind. I am not wonderful. Or, I help no one but myself. Skeletor has the best quotes.
Well, I think that's where I'm at. I've made my case. I don't have anything else to give with Shenlong and Wufei.
Never mind what I said. Just do what I said.
That is my argument. Kevin, do you have any final words before we pass it back to Brendan to make the final judgment?
I just feel like if Skeletor was in a giant robot for some reason, first of all, that would be the coolest thing ever. But maybe you would have a chance because it'd be a robot versus a giant robot. But I feel that because Skeletor it's basically the size of a person, I think the Gundam is going to be too nimble. In order to get any sort of hit in, the pilot's going to have to get out. And as soon as
Wouldn't
he
it be
gets
not
out,
nimble enough?
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, the robot's going to be too cumbersome.
Very
So the only way he would really even be able to get in a situation where he can maneuver around to such the degree that he can fight another person is if he got out of the Gundam, right? And Skeletor just used hypnosis on him. Not to mention Skeletor can teleport, he can open new dimensions, he has all this magic ability. There's no way. The Gundam would just not be able to do it. The Gundam may be by itself if Skeletor was as big as a Gundam, but he's not.
All right. I guess I do have something else to say. Then I'll pass it to Brennan. You've basically recapped all your powers. Again, I'm gonna go back. Size ratio. I know you think your smallness is an advantage, but I think blasting a big old hole with a beam cannon, blasting you with fire, Gundams lock on to things. Be able to destroy you and everything around you pretty quickly.
Just opens the
we know about the
dimension.
teleportation, dude.
No, he just
teleportation.
He opens the doorway to another
times.
dimension. The beam goes into the other dimension, and it just totally gets everything.
How big of a? Never mind. Doesn't matter. Is he make a big old thing, or is it like enough for him to? Doesn't matter. I would freaking smoke you with my giant freaking weapons. Skeletor's dust.
So
done.
Skeletor in the movie, for example, Skeletor was able to open a portal to another dimension onto Earth from Eternia, and he marches an entire army through this thing. So these are pretty big portals. He could easily stop a Gundam.
All right,
by
Brendan.
himself.
I know you have a bias against me.
No, this is I was mostly joking about that, but so I see the merits of both here. So obviously the size I see as an advantage and a disadvantage, but honestly a little bit more of a disadvantage against a single tiny opponent. But your weaponry is pretty sophisticated with the fire. You did mention the last thing was the lock-on, which is kind of interesting, but also the teleporting kind of breaks that, but that does give him a better chance of hitting with some of his weapons, especially like the beam cannon for one is great. But it's definitely more of a precision weapon as well. Like this isn't something you're gonna just be able to just. It's not like rapid fire, right? It's just like a big one long shot.
I think it's a big old blast. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and it's like the original.
The rapid fire comes from the things on his head.
Yeah, so it's harder to hit with it, but it's devastating if it hits. And then the fire, I think, is a good way to sweep the area. I also think once you got out the mech, if Magic's kind of he could hold his own on like a 1v1 fight just with no magic because he does knows martial arts and stuff, even though Skeletor is he's good a swords master and stuff, but that would make it close too. But the fact of the matter is Skeletor does have magic, which inherently is just kind of overpowered. Just to be honest. Opening up the teleportation alone, if he didn't have that, I would say
I see where this is
Gundam's
going.
got it. But with teleportation, it's too overpowered. It's just too much. Opening portals in other dimensions and teleporting, it's too overpowered. It's ridiculous. Like Kevin did say, you could just open a portal under the Gundam's leg, close it, and then the Gundam's leg's gone.
Dude, that was totally funny to watch.
That's all you would have to do, and then the Gundam's done. It's just
it's Gundam.
Imagine a big robot running around it steps in a interdimensional portal.
If it wasn't for the teleporting, Gundam, I would say has it, because even with the magic, I don't think it would be able to take out the Gundam before he was taken out. But yeah, so I would say Skeletor's has this mostly because magic is overpowered and your maneuverability is gimped on the planet. If for some reason you were both in space, maybe you'd have a better chance because I
think so. For sure.
You're way more maneuverable. The Gundams are way more maneuverable in space. So I would say in this case, because of overpowered magic, a little bit of cumbersome movement, and really overpowered teleporting, that Skeletor would take this.
Well, I hate it, but I accept defeat. It's fine. I feel bad that our listener submitted this with hope that his character would shine. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt Artolino. But sorry I let you down, man. I did not represent Chang Wufei and Shenlong the way we had hoped. But
I think against a lot of opponents, the Gundam would win, but really the teleporting does just
yeah,
push it over the edge.
Skeletor's got me. It's fine. I will take this gracefully. So thank you for that, Brendan. I guess. Not
And thank you for
thank you for that.
I like Gundam. I don't really have much. I mean, I like the original. I haven't seen Wing, but I'll probably watch it eventually. But I've not really seen much He-Man, so I don't even know much about Skeletor. But I just like magic is kind of ridiculous.
All you need to know about Skeletor is he is a man has a skull for a head. That's really all you need to know.
Man, I want to see him, Megatron, and Cobra Commander just have a good old time. No, just have a party together. Honestly, that'd be like the coolest thing ever. But
can we throw Emperor Palpatine in there because that dude is hilarious.
Well, this was fun. Thank you, Matt, for submitting an idea for a character. Anyone else, if you have any ideas for a character you want us to represent, and I'll do my best to win next time, you could submit them to us on our website.
For sure, and actually, please do because we aren't complete. And nerds. I haven't seen every franchise in existence, so there might be some characters out there that I don't even know anything about that I would have to study and everything like that. But it'd be kind of nice to have a bigger pool to go from than what I just know. So yeah, for sure. If you have some ideas to submit, please do so.
How would they do that if they wanted to submit, Kevin?
Well, you can. Why don't you? Okay. My brain is at a blank. Why don't you tell us where to do that at?
Sure. So ask me the question. How could I do that? How could they do that way?
So, Stephen, little brother, how can one of our great listeners submit a character for one of our throwdowns?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I could tell you right now. You can go to our website, www.brothersbornmedia.com, and send us an email there. Or you can email us directly at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. And we'd be so thrilled to have your submissions, and we would love to represent your character.
If I wanted to watch the podcast, where could I see that ad?
Oh, that's great. You want to listen to yourself. I get it. I do too. I listen to myself all the time. You could do it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You could go on Google Podcasts and Amazon Podcasts with hopes that we're going to be getting into some other ones soon too.
And you just go to the website that we gave you, and then there's links there for all of our shows.
Which is great.
And we are expanding our empire, so to speak. So, we've got 2 shows on there right now. Hopefully soon we'll be having some more. I know I have some ideas for some shows. Steve has some ideas for some shows. I believe even Brendan might be included in one or two of these, if I'm correct. Yes. So, so look forward to having some more content from us. Hopefully we get some out really, really, really soon. I know Steven's got something in the works. I also have something in the works, but he's a little further along than I am.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you know how you could really show your love for the Brothers Born?
By giving us some cash flow money.
Hugs.
Cash flow money. Hugs too. Cash flow money. Yeah, you can, if you want to, you can donate for 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. You can do that from our website or our podcast hosting page. And also, we would, if you could write a review and give us a good old 4, 3, or 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and that would be super great.
What if I sent you pizzas?
That is also acceptable.
That would be very expensive, though, because I live in Texas. I don't know how you're going to send a pizza all the way to El Paso.
But, well, thank you again, Brendan. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah. To be honest, if you chose from the original Gundam series and chose like Char, I would be super biased, and I would have probably chose him because he's my favorite character.
I didn't know that character, so
I will say it is sometimes it's hard to be non-biased with these. Sometimes it is. Which is another reason why we want to submit characters, because if it's a character we don't know that much about, it's easier to be non-biased.
I'm going to submit a character. You're not going to know him, but he's very overpowered.
That'd be great.
So
please do.
To see.
All right. Well, folks, till next time.
Enjoy yourselves, and I'll catch you around.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Sort of like
Thanks
Bruce
for having
Almighty.
me. It was fun.
Yep. All right. Catch you later.
Skeletor is not a marshmallow.